lead risk at work is not always obvious. Lead can enter the body through inhalation of dust, fumes or mist, and through ingestion from contaminated hands, surfaces or clothing. This film maps those approved pathways, then shows the control order and the exact Victorian limits that matter. The pathway can begin in the air, or with contamination transferred from a hand, surface or item of clothing. Excessive exposure can cause immediate and long-term health effects. These are high-level approved statements. The particles and pathways on screen are generic education, not an exposure assessment or a finding about any person. Specified lead processes include activities involving lead dust or fumes. They also include machine sanding of lead-painted surfaces, hot work on lead-coated metal, and power tool removal of lead-containing coatings. These are the approved examples. The animation does not identify any material, recreate a task, or provide a work method. Do not identify a material as lead-containing from appearance alone. Every surface block in this film is deliberately generic. It is not a sample, a survey, a test result, a product record or confirmation that lead is present or absent. The approved claims do not add a testing procedure, and neither does this video. Now keep the jurisdiction visible. In Victoria, a lead process must be assessed to determine whether it is lead risk work. Where lead risk work is undertaken, health monitoring duties apply. This is approved Victorian guidance. It must not be presented as binding law or identical terminology across Australia. For Victorian lead risk work, health monitoring includes medical examination and biological monitoring. Monitoring is arranged before employees start the work. Keep every part of that statement together: Victoria, lead risk work, the two monitoring elements, and the timing before employees start. This film does not interpret a medical examination, biological monitoring result or any other health information. It does not provide treatment advice. The abstract monitoring marks are not a medical record, an employee result or a clinical conclusion. They only hold the approved Victorian context on screen. Lead exposure controls should follow the hierarchy of control. Begin with elimination. Then move through substitution, isolation and engineering controls before administrative controls and personal protective equipment. The order matters because the approved claim places high-order controls before administration and PPE. Elimination sits at the top of the approved sequence. Substitution follows. Isolation and engineering controls come before administrative controls and personal protective equipment. The TID planes shown here are a generic educational hierarchy. They are not a site-specific control selection, implementation record or proof that a workplace has controlled exposure. Administrative controls and personal protective equipment remain later in the approved hierarchy. This film does not add equipment choices, fit requirements, work sequences or technical instructions. It also does not turn a document, form or generic control card into evidence that operational duties have been completed. Documents do not automatically complete operational duties. Implementation, consultation, training, controls, records, and evidence remain necessary. The generic document shapes on screen are not a site plan, SWMS, completed form, inspection, training record or proof of compliance. No additional document duty or content is being claimed. For lead process areas, compressed air and dry sweeping are not appropriate cleaning methods. The crossed symbols are high-level control communication only. They do not show a worker performing either action, and they do not depict a contaminated area, completed cleaning or a site-specific cleaning decision. Suitable methods include wet cleaning and hazardous dust type M or H vacuuming. That is the full approved control statement used here. The film does not turn it into a cleaning procedure, equipment selection guide or declaration that an area is clean. The visuals remain generic and do not prove implementation. This evidence is Victorian. Other Australian requirements and terminology may differ and should be checked against current local regulator material. Appearance alone does not identify lead. Generic visuals are not an exposure assessment, health monitoring result, medical record, site plan, SWMS, completed cleaning or proof of compliance. This film adds no thresholds, licenses, technical procedures, medical interpretation or treatment advice, and gives no guarantee about injury, exposure, enforcement, audit or legal outcomes. The approved source page is BlueSafe's Lead Compliance Guide. Get started free, https://app.bluesafeinline.com/or/register.